It is so cold. I look crazy today. Whatever. I just had surgery yesterday. It's minor surgery. Everything's good. I'm still kind of recovering a little bit from it, but not really in a lot of pain. But I have to go in the garage and figure out what it is that we're going to finish for this weekend out of the garage so that we can continue on our emptying the garage plan or goal for 2025. So let's see what we can work on this weekend. Okay. Here's where we left off. We cleared out over there, but now we're going to work on this side. And holy moly, it is so cold. So I think I'm going to get this clock out. I can put away all these. They don't belong in here. Oh, I'm so cold. A lot of this is trash on here. These are my price tags for my resale booth. This can come out. I need to sand it. It's just too rough. It needs to be sanded. But it's pretty much an easy project. Famous last words, right? And then in here, I have this little shelf. And maybe we can work on this and this too. Let's see how much we can get done. I also have, let me move this. I also have this wooden mug thing. I feel like this would be cute done up for spring or Valentine's Day. Now seems like a good time to start on these projects. So this piece is something that somebody probably handmade in a woodworking shop. It is actually really well made, and I don't think I'd ever drink out of it though. I'm going to clean it really well with some Lysol wipes, and then I'm going to give this a very Valentine's Day themed makeover. Nothing cheesy or over the top or gaudy in any way. I'm going for a very toned down Valentine's look for my house, and this is actually something that I'm going to be keeping to decorate my house with. So I want it to be something that is a little neutral and could also transition really well to spring, not just Valentine's Day decor. So I'm going to do this light off-white or antique white color on the entire piece, and I'm going to use it to put a flower arrangement inside there. After 2 coats of that antique white color, it's ready for its flower arrangement. I picked up these flowers. They're pink tulips from Hobby Lobby. They are artificial ones. I absolutely adore tulips for spring and for Valentine's Day, and tulips just in general. I think they're such a beautiful flower, but they can be a little bit pricey. So this is something that I'm keeping for myself. I think I spent around $9 or $10 on these on sale. I think they were originally closer to 20 bucks for this little small bunch, but of course they always have sales at Hobby Lobby, so I got them when they were on sale, but it still isn't cheap. And so this is not something that would work really well for resale unless you found tulips like these in the Goodwill bins or something like that. But if you're trying to make stuff over for your own home decor, then this is still a good option for that, because like I'm saying, these tulips can be really expensive. So it's not a terrible price if you're keeping it to spend about $9 or $10 on this bunch of tulips, but if you were doing resale, it wouldn't be very smart. And I'm using some of that straw little ribbon that was around the flowers to add a little bit of an accent to the outside of this mug. I don't know what this wooden stein or whatever you want to call it. I think that gives it more of a garden flair and extra spring look to it. But this is going to go in my half bath. I always decorate my half bath for the different seasons, and I think this is perfect. The color is perfect. The little pop of light pink is absolutely beautiful without being an annoying amount of pink. I think you can't, there's sometimes where you can have too much pink, but this is a classy look for Valentine's Day. Now let's go back out to the garage and see what we can work with. So we have this little wooden thing too. I bet you the same person who made that big mug made this as well, because I got them both on the same day from the Goodwill bins. It's really, really cute, and I think that it would look good with this little topiary ball inside it. I get these topiary balls from the At Home store in a pack of 4, I think, and they end up being about $3 a piece, which is the cheapest that I have found them. I'm going to absolutely drench the inside of this with some hot glue before I stick that topiary ball inside there, because I want it to stick really, really well, so that if somebody picks this up by the greenery, it's not going to come apart. And I just hold it down real tight in there until it completely, glues itself on. And the good thing about hot glue is if somebody wants to do something different with this later on, it would be so easy to remove. But I did the Dairy Queen test on it, nothing came out. It's nice and strong. I can hold it by the greenery, no issues. So this would be ready to go in my booth. It actually kind of reminds me of a decoration you would use for St. Patrick's Day. It looks a little bit like a pot of gold with some clovers inside it. What do you think of this one? Let's go to the next.
These would be good for Valentine's if I painted them.
I got these from the Goodwill bins, of course, and these are another great trash to treasure for today's flips. My husband is snipping out these chains because I'm going to remove the lids off of them. I feel like they are not something that you would actually want to put things inside, because it just doesn't seem like it was made for you to have things in there that, it seems like it's just decorative. I wouldn't really trust the finish to be non-toxic. So I'm going to be turning these into 2 different little pots, like garden pots, and putting in some floral arrangements in them as well. I want these to look like those pots of little mini roses that you can get from the grocery stores in the floral departments. I've always loved those and never bought one. I don't know why. If you're watching, have you ever bought one of those little mini roses that you can put as like an indoor plant? And if you have, did they stay alive? That's the thing I wonder, because from what I know about growing roses, all the roses I've ever grown have needed like direct sun outdoors in order to do well. So if you've ever bought those indoor ones, did they actually survive indoors, or did you end up having to plant it outside, or did you end up having to throw it away? Of course, I started these upside down, and now I'm going to paint them right side up. I'm using this really beautiful gardeny green color, and I did that because I want things to be a little more neutral, like I was saying, and I want the florals to be the pink color, so I'm going to do pink florals in here. And then I want the pot to just look gardeny or spring-like. That way my items will be more likely to sell, since they would be a little more neutral and less holiday-like. I find that Valentine's Day stuff does not sell super well, and I've noticed this year also when shopping around for some Valentine's decor for my home that most stores are not selling very much of it either. Like, they don't even have any in the stores. And I got this block of foam out of the garage and cut it in half, and I'm going to glue these down really, really, really well and use them to hold the florals that I'm going to put in here. But yeah, I'm not going to go over the top with creating things to resell for Valentine's Day. And one of the best ways that you can figure out what sells and what doesn't sell is to just go to the store and see what other stores are selling. These were $9.99 full price. I got them 40% off, so they were $6. And I put 1 full bunch in each pot. So this is not going to be a huge profit for me because I do sell my things really, really cheap. But I just wanted to also give you guys ideas for how you can decorate, doing some trash to treasures for spring and for Valentine's Day. So if you're doing something like this for resale, I would highly recommend getting all your florals from like thrift stores like the Goodwill bins, or from yard sales is a really good place to get them from. Every once in a while you can see somebody selling some on Marketplace, although that tends to be a higher price on there. But yeah, for resale purposes, I would say that these would be a little bit too expensive to really make a profit off of. But isn't it just the cutest? Does it remind you of those grocery store roses? I think it's adorable. I really wanted to keep these. I just don't have anywhere to put them. We put them in my booth, And like I had mentioned in the beginning of the video, I recently had a very minor surgery. No big deal, everything's fine, but I wanted to stay home and rest. So my oldest daughter actually took all the pictures and videos of the items that went to the booth, and Manny and the kids all together took everything to the booth for me. So good job to my daughter. The next project that I have out in the garage was this little heart frame that I got from Goodwill. I got it for $3.99 at a regular Goodwill store, and I bought it with the intention of making my own Valentine's Day decor. And like I was saying earlier, so many stores are just not selling much at all for Valentine's Day right now. And I don't think they intend to get more in stock. It's already coming down to the wire, as far as holiday buying goes. Usually they're like months in advance for these things. So I'm glad that I had bought this like way off season and waited to use it until now, because I have not really found anything that I like in the stores to decorate for Valentine's Day with. I'm going to use this light pink color called Antoinette. I bought that Annie Sloan chalk paint 50% off. Man, that paint is so expensive. So the only way I'd be buying it is if it was 50% off. And I just got lucky one day that the Painted Tree boutique that I sell my booths in, my booths are located in, I should say, has also an Annie Sloan booth in there, and they were having a big sale one day, and I just happened to be there and got it half off. I got a couple other colors too, which you'll see eventually, but I think that this pink is a really good muted color for the theme that I'm going for. It's going to look a little shabby chic and just very light and happy and airy, which is really what we need in our home right now after all that Christmas and the chaos and whatnot. The after Christmas decor should usually be something that's simple and light on the eyes, not too crazy, because if you're like me, you're ready to put all that stuff away and have things to be simplified, easy to clean, easy on the eyes. On the inside of the frames, I'm going to use this book, and I've already picked out some pages to cut out to frame some botanical prints in the picture frames. So what else I did, I can't talk very well today, so something else I did was I didn't clean the glass until now, because you see the heart outline on here. I'm going to use that outline to figure out exactly where I want to cut these images so that they will look really nicely laid out inside the heart. Since the glass is square, but the only thing that shows is a heart shape, I had to make sure that what I was cutting was going to look right when it was framed in there with the heart-shaped opening. So I just drew with a pink pen. I figured why not stay on this theme here. Drew the outline of the glass on there and then put them back inside the frame. I think this now has the perfect amount of shabby chic to it. I hung it up outside my half bath where I have those tulips inside. This is actually inside my mudroom, and I have been slowly revealing my home renovations through cleaning videos on my second channel. If you haven't checked that out, it'll be linked below. What I've been doing on my other channel, if you haven't watched it yet, is I have been slowly decluttering and cleaning every space in my home, one space at a time, like super in-depth decluttering and kind of minimalizing everything. And my garage is definitely part of that. And in this video, you'll get to see me clean up a little bit of it. And my last video on this channel, I started this whole garage hoard cleaning series. So this would be technically episode 2 if you haven't seen episode 1 yet. Isn't that clock so cute? I can't bring myself to get rid of it yet. I know I need to sell it. I don't have anywhere to put it in my house, but I just feel like I'm just not ready yet. It's so cool. It's two-sided and it has like some English British saying on there. I can't remember what it was, but super cute. I also found this little cutting board in here that just needed to be cleaned up and sent to the booth, so this didn't even need any work. But I really wanted to get this table cleaned off today as much as I possibly could. So much of it was trash anyways. But let's work on this dough bowl. I got this dough bowl for $5 at a yard sale, and Manny is going to sand it for me. Like I said in the beginning of the video, it was just made really, really rough and scratchy, so it was like a rough sawn piece of wood. And it was probably originally from Hobby Lobby. I'm not sure about that though. But I did put that up in my booth, and it actually sold today, just a few minutes ago. I checked while I was doing this voiceover, and it sold already. I had it priced at $29.95, and it is gone. Isn't it pretty? Next, I'm going to work on this little shelf thing. I got this for $5 at a yard sale, and I have been saving it for a while. I wanted to paint it, but I wasn't quite sure what color I wanted to do on it. But, oh, and look at these frames. I think I'm going to work on these today too. How cute are those? Let's start on those. So these cute little frames I think would look great for spring and Valentine's Day in my booth. It's a great pair. Sometimes it helps to have something in a pair to sell like this. They were really dirty though, so I'm just going to clean them up and put some of those botanical prints in here like I did on my heart frame and get those put up in the booth. I think these are so perfect to help create that spring Valentine's ambiance in my booth, as well as have something to resell and keep emptying things out of my garage hoard. Isn't this such a great example of a quick and easy trash to treasure to make your own Valentine's Day decor? How simple is this? And you can definitely get a good resale value on this if you're somebody who flips and sells. So cute and so easy to do. Next, let's go back and grab that shelf that I originally had been wanting to do next, but found those frames inside. So like I was saying, I wanted to paint this. I just didn't know what color, and as I was working on the projects today, I thought that that beautiful green color would look great on this, and green is very in right now. Plus, it will go with spring, it will go with summer, it will go with fall, and it will go with winter. I feel like that deep green can do so many different things. Manny is sanding this down for me. Again, like I was saying, I was recovering from a minor surgery, but I got lots and lots of help. Manny is actually a full-time student, and right now he is back in school, but at the time of us filming this, he was on his winter break, so it was nice to have that extra help. But this beautiful green is absolutely stunning on everything I've put it on so far, and I'm gonna continue using it on several projects, which just a little hint, a little sneak peek, some of these things have already sold that I painted in this green color. So I guess people are liking it, and I'll tell you which one it was later. But let's start painting this piece upside down first, of course, and get it ready to go in my booth. Something that I like to do with items in my booth that I know I will be stacking is to add these felt pads on there, just to make sure that I am not creating a situation where something will get scratched. And also I know that this piece is a very versatile piece that can be set on top of a desk or on top of a countertop or on top of lots of different things. So I think that my customers would appreciate having these felt pads on the bottom when they go to buy this. So that's something that I like to add, just a little extra something to make things even more quality when they go into my booth. And it looks so good. My oldest daughter staged all of this and took all these after pictures and videos, and I think she did a wonderful job. Good job, honey. But let's head back into the garage and see what else we can get done in this one weekend full of work. So I'm just kind of organizing things as I go and figuring out what I can work on easily. This piece right here was something that I picked up from a yard sale for like $1, I think. But somebody had tried to repair these pegs with some hot glue. So Manny's going to take all that hot glue off. We could have left it like it was and tried to resell it like that, but that's just not my style. I feel like that wouldn't hold up over time. So I thought it was best for us to take it apart and use actual wood glue to do it right. That way it's going to last forever. And I love these little peg shelves. I think they're a really good piece that has so many different functions you can use it for. It's just something that everybody could use one in their house. Like, you could put it by the front door, by the back door. You can put it in the bathroom to hang your towels on and put a pretty picture above, or put all your perfumes on top. Or you can put it in your closet and hang your purses or jewelry on there and something else on top. They really do a lot of different things. I loved the green color that this already was, and Manny was sanding it down for me to prep it for paint, but I actually end up really liking how it looks with just the sanding that he did. I don't think he intended to perfectly distress this, but he did somehow, and it ended up looking really, really pretty after he was done sanding it. But he's gonna sand all these little dowel parts on these pegs to make sure that the wood glue is going to attach to the actual bare wood. That is what makes something really strong, is when you actually use wood glue on a bare wood surface. So he sanded them all nice and smooth and ready to go back into their peg holes. And this I think it's called Titebond, or yeah, I'm pretty sure we use Titebond. But we've been using this brand of wood glue for a really long time, and we absolutely love it. It's good stuff. He did a really cool trick where he rolled the dowels together to help spread that glue all around, and I think that's a really cool little hack that I wanted to share with you guys that he did to not get any wood glue on your fingers, but also get really good wood glue spreading on all of those dowels. Then of course you need to wipe off all the excess so that way it doesn't dry and look ugly when it's done. But look at how good this looks. It has 2 holes in there. Those 2 holes are for the screws so you can hang it on the wall. But what do you think of the distressing on this? I thought it looked really good. I know some people hate distressing, but for those of you who do like it, do you think it looks good? I like that the white is showing through. It reminds me of something that Liz Marie Galvan would have in her house, and she's got to like 3 books about decorating and is a super amazing popular decorator. But back into the garage, I found this table, and I think this is actually the next piece that we need to work on. It's in rough shape.
If you look at the bottom, we have all the marbles, except that one. I looked online to see if I could get a replacement, and I can't. It's really hard to find. You'd have to buy all 4 new ones, so it doesn't really make sense. And everything's real wobbly. So we're going to take this apart and clean it up. We're also going to be taking off all the legs at about this point here. So then the new leg the foot will be here. And we can repurpose these for something else maybe. I don't know. They're pretty cool. But yeah, this table has seen some better days. And if you look here, we have some serious warping going on. But hey, I got 10 cents back out of it already. That's stuck on there. I'm not going to touch it with my bare hand because it's disgusting. The top of this table is so gross. I think I spent like $10 on this table, which I super overpaid for. But I just think these style tables are really cool, and I thought this is a perfect trash to treasure right here. Completely trashed. Something that I probably could have gotten for free, but I didn't haggle. The top, depending on how much we can fix the warp, I may leave it wood or I may paint it. I'm not sure.
Manny came to the rescue again on this part of the project. He took everything apart and cut those legs down to size and put everything back together using some wood glue. And I just want to mention that this is the reason why antique furniture is better than modern furniture. This would have never been able to have been repaired had it been from IKEA or Walmart. All this stuff is repairable because it was built to last, and it was built with the consideration of if something breaks, how easy will it be to repair it. So they actually designed things to be able to be repaired easily back then when this was made. This part right here, this warping, we were a little bit worried that we weren't going to be able to fix it, but you can see it was missing a screw there, which is why it ended up warping. So we put in some more of that Titebond glue, the wood glue, and then he used a clamp to close it down really well. And thankfully it didn't snap, it didn't break, nothing happened. It actually went really well, and he put a new screw in this spot to make it a permanent repair. And thank God it worked out really well, because this table is so cool, and I would really hate to see an antique like this end up having to be tossed just because the top ended up cracking from that bow that it had. He sanded the underneath side because there was some splintery wood under there. It tends to be unfinished wood on antiques on the underneath side. So he wanted to make sure nobody's going to get a splinter when they go to pick this up and take it home. He did make sure to leave that stamp that was under there from the original factory stamp. And then he sanded the entire piece nice and smooth. We decided to just paint the entire thing because of how rough everything was looking. It actually had something called alligatoring all over it from being exposed to high heat. So it probably was finished with a shellac of some kind, and when it gets exposed to extremely high heats, it melts and cracks and looks like alligator skin. And that's what had happened on all the legs of this piece and just throughout the surfaces. And so instead of trying to sand it all the way down back to bare wood, we decided to just sand it to where it was smooth enough to paint. He also cut off all of those little pointy feet that were underneath those claw feet, and that way the table actually would become a shorter table and have a nice flat foot on it, since we can't find that extra marble to fix that one claw foot. But I want to mention that these tables were probably built or created or designed for putting in entryways. They're actually taller than a normal side table. So when we cut these feet down, it actually lowered the table to a regular side table height, because before it was a little too high. And I've noticed that these tables don't sell very well. I see people giving them away constantly because they're not very functional for today's uses, since they're so tall. If you were to put that next to a couch, it would be way taller than the arm of the couch. So it can't really be used as a side table as well as modern day side tables because of that weird height that it is. So not only are we fixing that wobble issue with the missing marble, but we're actually lowering the table to a usable height. And I think it's important for us as flippers to find ways to make sure that we're reusing things, because it's better for our planet when we reuse things, but we also make them functional. So it's something that somebody's going to use and it will be practical in their home, but yet it's something we saved from the dump. I got this from a yard sale, like I said, and I way overpaid for it. But it could have gone to the dump. Like, had I not bought it, maybe nobody else would have, and this person would have thrown it away. That happens so often, especially here in Texas, with how easy it is to throw things away. The trash companies will just pick up anything you put outside. But people throw tons of stuff away like this just because it doesn't function very well anymore for modern uses. So when you create a modern use out of an antique piece, you're saving an antique from being thrown away, and you're also keeping money in your pocket, for one, because you can get these way cheaper than new stuff, and you're getting a quality piece, because like I said, these can be repaired. Say later on one of the legs gets wobbly, or the screw gets loose, or whatever happens, or if, say the paint ends up getting messed up someday, like the kids draw on it, or you scratch it up pretty good somehow, like you put a potted plant on there and it leaks water on it and ruins it, or whatever it may be, you can just sand it down and keep it forever and just keep remaking it over and over again and making it look new. If you bought something from Walmart or IKEA, as soon as there's something wrong with it, you can't repair it. That's it. And that's a gigantic thing that you're now going to have to throw away, that you spent twice as much on than you would have if you had just bought an antique piece and made it function in a modern way. So now that I've lectured you, I can get down off my soapbox and show you that this is how it ended up looking in the end. Very beautiful. But next project is going to be a great trash to treasure flip that only took me a couple minutes. I found this in the Goodwill bins, and then I also found this in the Goodwill bins, but it had that ding on that end there. And this is actually a Mud Pie brand piece. It was originally a paper towel roll holder. It had a stick in the middle to hold paper towels. But I took that off, and that is where it had the tag that said Mud Pie on it. If you're not familiar with Mud Pie, it's a pretty expensive home decor brand. But you can usually find them on Amazon and in boutique stores. But I decided to turn a paper towel roll holder into a really beautiful and kind of like shabby chic French country or farmhouse looking pedestal. And I think that this one may be one of my favorites that I've done today, and it only took me a couple minutes and probably cost me about $2, since it was all trash that I pulled out of the Goodwill bins. The next project is going to be this cute little cat cutting board. I got this from the Goodwill bins. I probably spent $1 or $2 on it based on its weight. And Manny is sanding it down for me, and then all we have to do is put a good cutting board oil on there, and it's ready to go. This is such an easy flip to do. Cutting boards are always an easy flip, easy money, and let me tell you something. If you're not a flipper, going to the Goodwill bins and finding cutting boards is the best way to give yourself a really high-end decor look in your home, because buying cutting boards costs an arm and a leg. They're so expensive. A lot of resellers even super high price these things. So get them used, get them from Goodwill, get them from the Goodwill bins, and you can decorate with them for super cheap and get this really high-end look, like Pottery Barn, or this actual like antique French cutting boards and breadboards. You can make it look like that without spending that kind of money by getting it from a thrift store and just sanding them down. Me personally, I would never actually use a used cutting board for my food because I don't know what people did with it, and wood is a porous material, and so I personally, just with my germ phobia self, would never actually use this for food. I am going to seal it with a food grade sealer just because I don't know what my buyer is going to end up doing with this, and I want to make sure that I'm doing right by them. But I would use them just for decorative purposes only and not for actual food purposes, if that makes sense to you. Do you feel the same way? Let me know in the comments. Look at how beautiful this turned out. It looks like it's oak too. Good quality piece of wood. And you may have already seen this earlier when I showed you that green shelf that I painted. But if you haven't been noticing it from before, then here it is, all nice and finished and decorated so well by my daughter in my booth. The next thing that we're going to work on is another piece of trash. This is just a random piece of wood that was left over from something else. I don't even remember what. So Manny sanded it down for me, and I'm actually going to create the coolest trash to treasure with this. And you will not believe what I'm going to pair it with because it's so out of left field. So a long time ago, from the Goodwill bins, when my oldest daughter, the one who's been helping me with all of the staging and photos actually, when she came with me one time to the Goodwill bins, she found a bag of chess pieces, and they were all handmade wooden ones. And I thought that was really cool, and she wanted to get that whole bag of them and reuse them for a project, and we could never think of any way to reuse them. So we've had them for like a year at least, just sitting there in the bag until today. Don't these make the best little cute ornate feet on a cute little riser? I'm telling you, you probably are thinking like, oh my gosh, all you ever make are floral arrangements and risers, but risers especially can be expensive for one, so it's way better to DIY them for your own decor. But for two, if you're going for resale, then this is something that you can resell really, really easily because everybody likes risers. They sell so well for me in my booth. And earlier when I was saying that something else green had already sold, it was this. So this sold the day after I put it in my booth, and I painted it that same green that I had done on all the other projects today. I, for some reason, don't have a recording of me painting it upside down first, but I painted it upside down first. I hope that you enjoyed today's 12 Trash to Treasure flips, and I will see you in the next video, which will be episode 3 of emptying our garage hoard. See you next time. Bye!